Let's commence with business and immigration law updates. This will be presented to us by the Khurana Law Firm, which is located in Maryland. The Chief Attorney at Law is Attorney Ramesh Khurana. Here on screen, Attorney Khurana will be questioned by Attorney Kenneth Haber. What they'll be discussing are very important legal issues, so let's join this conversation.
I'm Ken Haber. I'm a former Assistant United States Attorney and a former Senior Attorney in the Office of Inspector General of the United States Department of Health and Human Services. That's the Medicare Police. With me today is Ramesh Khurana, a very, very experienced, well-qualified immigration attorney, and this is the Capitol Forum. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you very much, Ken, for inviting me. I'm pleased to be here.
I am just delighted that you're here. I always enjoy our sessions together, and I understand today you're prepared to discuss with us and to the public some of the aspects of the U.S. Consulate interview when somebody is applying to obtain a visa.
Sure, I'll be very happy to do that.
Well, it's a topic that I'm sure that many people are interested in because it's one that with our internationalism will affect just about every family at some time or other.
Believe me, every family who has moved to the United States from Asia or Europe, now they are looking forward to inviting their family members so that they can have a good time in the United States. But the problem is that some of the family members are unable to obtain U.S. visitor visa, and they have spent years and years. So that's why this topic is going to be of immense interest to the most of the audience here.
Yes, I'm confident that it would be. Could you please explain a little bit about the process of applying and obtaining the visa and why that is so challenging?
Yes. We are talking about visitor visa, or this is also called B1, B2 visa, visitor or business visa. That means the intent of the persons is just to come here, visit their family members, or go for some medical treatment, or do some business meetings or presentations and go back to their country. Now, this is the most wanted visa for people who are living abroad and they want to come and see their family friends, or some other people. They have got enough money, they are very wealthy, and they want to just come to the United States for tourism purposes. But the problem is that a good percentage of people is unable to make it to obtain their visas because of the fact whenever a person is interviewed at the U.S. Consulate abroad, now they start with the presumption that this person is an intending immigrant. Like this person, if allowed to come to the United States, is not going to go back to his country. So that's why the burden is very heavy on the applicant of the visitor visa. He or she has to prove to the satisfaction of the consular officer that he's not going to move permanently to the United States, because he has got very strong ties to his home country, he has got a good job and his family is there, so he has nothing to gain by settling down permanently in the United States. So the burden is so heavy on the applicant. Unless you can persuade, I always use the word persuade, you have to persuade the consular officer. And on top of it, the person has just about 2 minutes. Just about 2 minutes. There are about 2,000 to 3,000 people who are being interviewed at each consulate. Let's talk about in India. There is a heavy rush, long queue of people, and a person doesn't get more than 2 minutes. So you have to be really well prepared and well intentioned person. From every gesture you make, from every conversation you make, you should be giving an impression that you just want to come here temporarily for doing some business meeting, or you want to see your family members and go back.
How can a person best plan for the interview? Do you have any tips for the public?
Oh, sure. I would say if your family member is inviting you to come to the United States, let your family member write an invitation letter to you, and also along with that, that person can sign one affidavit of support, which is a very short version, which we call Form I-134, and this form basically says that I am willing to pay for the boarding and lodging expenses of the visitor, so that this person doesn't become a charge on the state. So when he comes over here, he is going to stay with me. I am going to provide him a bedroom in my home, and I am going to take care of the food. I am going to take care of other financial requirements. There is an emergency, if he meets with an accident, something like that happens, I am willing to provide all kind of financial support to the visitor. So that way it takes care of the charge on the state issue. And the most important thing, I would say, the person who is applying has to be well prepared to answer questions. Like I said in response to the first question, you hardly have 2 minutes. And some people go for interview at the US Consulate and they have got so much documentation in their file. When the consular officer is asking a question, the person is looking into the file to find the document. No, that's not the way to conduct the interview. Always look into the eye of the consular officer, because consular officer is trying to test your credibility, whether you really want to go back, whether you are making the correct statements or not. This is very important. You know, Ken, recently I had a chance to go to India along with 27 attorneys from the US, and we visited 3 consulates, and including New Delhi US Embassy. We went to Chennai, we went to Mumbai, and we were able to see how these interviews are conducted, first-hand impression. And the consular officer told us very clearly, we simply want to hear the story. Why do you want to go to the US? Just tell your story in simple words instead of looking into the documentation. Some people would carry the deeds of the properties, bank statements. Of course, these are important to prove that you have strong ties to your country, but at the same time, if officer is asking you a question, just answer it, just answer it. And if a person is answering the question truthfully, and the officer who is looking into the eye, and that officer thinks, yes, I cannot go wrong in my judgment of this person. This person is not an immigrant, intending immigrant. And that person would say, absolutely, I give you a visa, you're most welcome. So that's the way it works.
Sounds like the time when my wife was applying for citizenship and she was interviewed, and during the interview, she and I got into an argument. I don't remember what for, but the immigration official said, that's fine, that's all. Nobody's going to come in front of me and break into an argument if it's a fake marriage.
That's very true. That's very true. So that means you were not prepared in a way to present a show, but it was a real thing because it was based on a bona fide marriage. You know, some people whose marriage is not bona fide, probably they are prepared very well, but they are unable to put up a good show, you know, like you did.
That was a real show.
Yes.
Unscripted.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What documents does an individual need to bring with them just in case when they're being interviewed?
First important thing is that they'll file the application online, which is called DS-160 for B1, B2 visa. Always try to take with you the barcoded page of DS-160 and of course the whole application. Then you can take with you the invitation which you received either from the business inviting you to come and attend a conference or make a presentation, or a family member has invited you for the housewarming ceremony or for some birth celebration ceremony, marriage anniversary ceremony. Just take those papers with you, and if you have a substantial bank balance, take your bank account statement with you and some papers regarding your properties. Why I am suggesting all these papers, you must be wondering. Again, I am suggesting because you have the burden to prove like you have got strong ties with your country. Let us say a person is doing a kind of sport level job, making nominal money overseas. Now that person has so much to gain by moving to the United States because he is not able to find a good job, he is underemployed. So if you are holding a good position in India or you are a good businessman and US consulate officer is going to determine that this person has got nothing to gain by coming to the United States and settling down here permanently, and that officer feels very comfortable in granting a tourist visa or a business visa to that person. So, but again, the strong tip is don't start looking into your papers. Papers are not so important as your eye contact and explaining to the officer your real story. Why do you want to come to the United States?
That's sound advice for everybody, I'm sure. If somebody's refused a visa under the 214B statute, what does that mean? Can he apply again? What are the consequences of that refusal?
Ken, under section 214B of the INA, this section basically says that officer has to start with the presumption that you have an immigrant intent unless proven otherwise. So why he is declining to issue a person a visa is because that consulate officer thinks this person wants to immigrate for various reasons. So that's why he denies it. Once it is denied, there is no right to appeal. But at the same time, you can file a motion to reopen, reconsider if you got some evidence. But the best thing is just to apply again, and you do not have to wait. Don't wait even for 1 week, for 10 days. Next time when you go for the interview, I'm sure it's another officer who is going to look at your application independently, and he is going to talk to you, give you an opportunity for 1 or 2 minutes. Be prepared to explain what has changed and why do you want to come to the United States. Believe me, and I have seen that when we train people, we tell them what you are supposed to be doing, what's the burden on you. Don't talk to the people who are in the States. Just you should know what is expected from you. Most of the times I have seen, of course, 100% success is not possible, but most of the times people are granted visas.
That's good, especially if they have relatives in this country. They should be able to visit.
Yes, yes.
My wife's son visited and had a nice long visit. They afforded him a lot of courtesy in that
Yeah.
regard.
Lately, by the way, US government has become very liberal because they want to promote tourism. And believe me, they don't want to deny any application unless they have to, or somebody has got immigrant intent. They want to encourage. So they have started issuing more and more visas.
Remember, if there's any questions that you might want to ask of Ramesh, you can find him on the internet on his website, Ramesh Khurana, in Rockville, Maryland, and that he can also be contacted through the station here by phone. Thank you very much for coming in, Ramesh.
Thank you very much, Ken. I will advise the audience. If you have any questions about the complex immigration issues, please discuss with your competent immigration lawyer. Thank you very much for being with us.